The love story itself, I guess what's so rad about a love story like this is that no matter what happens in war and politics and all that stuff, even if it means death, love wins, right?
Right, and it's that underpinning of how much risk is he willing to take for her,
Yes.
you know? And that's why I think that's the part that makes it powerful, is that he's willing to, you know, take all these risks for this love that he knows, you know, is treasonous, you know? And she's willing, I mean, she could be killed as well, you know, she's willing to take that risk as well.
But it's wild. You know, one thing you don't get in the show, and then you don't get a lot in the libretto, is how long has Aida actually been there, right? So,
yes.
so I played it a few different ways. And in our version, I think that Aida's actually been there a while, years. And I don't think that she started up with Radamés until a little bit later on in her time there. I think that she spent much more time with Amneris and got closer to her than maybe people would think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's why when she says, you know, she calls you sister, and you know, she believes that. Like, she believes that, even though she, you know, Aida buys into it because they've been close. They've been around each other for a long time. I agree with you. I think it has been an ongoing relationship between the two of you, but maybe this is like
I think this is a newer thing, especially because, you know, the story starts where Amneris, even before the beginning of this opera, has already started suspecting.
Yes.
She knows something is going on with
yeah.
her and Radamés, and she's just waiting on her to tell her. And that's what I find really funny about it is Amneris has obviously not talked about Radamés to Aida, and Aida hasn't talked about him to Amneris. You know, it's just this secret thing going on. Neither one of them are supposed to be with him. I mean, Aida, for obvious reasons, is not supposed to be with him. But for Amneris, of course, maybe she keeps it a secret because she shouldn't be in love with what's just a plain soldier.
Right.
And then he becomes
he gets elevated, and then she's like, oh, now's my chance.
Yeah, and she's like, ooh, now I can get him. Yes, this is my man. But then she's like, but something is going on here. Am I going to get my man or what? You know, and so it's, you know, it's a funny thing how much is actually hidden. You know, the story of Aida, like when I started playing the character, I always thought it was Aida that was hiding, but everybody's hiding something,
Everybody's
aren't
hiding
they?
something.
You
Everybody,
know?
yeah.
The story of Aida is a love story, but, you know, it's multifaceted.
Yeah.
But I tell you, for a grand opera, when you really delve into the libretto and the things that people are saying to each other, you know, the characters are way more complex than people are used to believing them to be. We come up here and we stand and we sing, and, you know, there's all this bombastic, heroic sounding music. But when you really delve into the lyrics, these are some complex people, man. Borderline crazy, some of them. Especially Aida.
That's what makes opera fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. And that's why I love to do it, because, you know, then it's crazy is legal.
Right.
You know, it's allowed.
Exactly.
I feel like it's pretty easy to fall into this lovey-dovey situation, especially because you've been making googly eyes at each other for 2 acts.
Right.
And, you know, and you're not able to touch each other nor talk to each other or acknowledge each other at all.
Yeah.
And so once you get to Act 3, it's been built up so much, you know what I mean, that you're just so happy to be around each other. But I draw a lot from the lyrics.
Yeah,
me
me too.
And the things that are being said.
Yeah, but I think you don't really know the full scope, I think, of their love until the tomb scene. Like, you don't really know their love, like what it really is. You see a gesture by Radamés when the king said, "I'll give you anything you want." He's like, "Okay, well then free them." You know.
Yes.
That's where you really see. That was the first big gesture. And I think that if she wasn't in love before, she's definitely in love now.
She's like, come on in my bed, it's done.
But I think, as performers, you just, and also we've known each other for a long time. So as performers, if you feel comfortable with somebody, you can go there and express that love, and express that heat, emotion, or whatever it is on stage.
It doesn't hurt that you're so good looking, though. I mean, that makes it a lot easier, you know, when the theater's hot, you know. so that does help for me. And it's true that we've known each other a while, and I have so much respect for you. And so,
mutual
so
respect,
for me, it's just, I want to fall into you. I want to melt into you. I want to almost use your energy too. You know what I mean? And I like a good energy exchange on stage, you know what I mean? And you're just such a comfortable, inviting energy. So you do make it easier than a lot of Radamés, I have to say.
Oh,
You do.
Thank you. It's only my second time, so we'll see.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's only my second time.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You got some catching up to do,
Right,
man.
right. Yeah. I think what's the beauty about it is that we've all loved somebody at one point who we probably shouldn't have, who it wasn't seen as okay, or maybe even a bit taboo to be in love with somebody. So I think that's a part of it that people relate to more than anything else.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, this is definitely a star-crossed lover situation. So yes, you have, Tristan and Isolde, and you have, Romeo and Juliet, and plenty of people that were in love with each other and shouldn't have been.
They shouldn't have been, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but this is not the typical telling of that story, but it ends the same, doesn't it?
Right,
It ends
Exactly.
in we can't have love without death, so let's do it.
Right,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So in that way, it's similar to any star-crossed lover story, with some exceptions, as this is, I don't see an opera too often where it's really based in politics and the conflict is really about war and that sort of thing, so that makes this a little bit different. You know what I mean? Because as much as they're in love, I mean, Aida says straight out, she's like, I'm supposed to wish him dead. How do I do this?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to hope for his death. I'm supposed to hope for my dad to kill him. So what am I supposed to do? Also hope for him to kill my father? Like, what's going on here? I don't even know how to feel. You know what I mean? So it's complex because she's a princess and because she's, she's in the government back in her country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, you make different decisions and stuff like that, but star-crossed love is star-crossed love, no matter the circumstances. You ain't supposed to be doing it. Forbidden love. I mean, we all love it.
Yeah, but
we all love forbidden love.
Right, but that's what makes it hot.
Oh, yes.
when it's forbidden, absolutely.
Yeah, let's keep it spicy with the forbidden love. You know what I mean? So all of them are these forbidden love stories, and the story of Radames and Aida is no exception.
Yeah.
Aida is one of the grandest operas in all of the repertoire. It just is. It's so grand. There's so many people on stage. There's a ballet in the middle of opera, for God's sakes. I mean, come on, you can't go wrong. So there's dancing, there's the scenery, there's amazing singing, and the grand costumes, the heroic setting. I mean, it's just, this is why it's timeless to me.
And the beauty of all of that is that the drama moves quickly. Like there's not these moments where it's like nothing happening. Everything moves at a pace that keeps the audience pulled in.
That's true, and that's an exception compared to some other
Yes.
grand operas.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some grand operas where, I love Don Carlo, for instance. It's one of my very favorites, but there's definitely a lot of excessiveness to it as far as the words.
It takes forever to get to the point.
Oh, Lord, does it
takes
ever.
It takes forever to
Aida
get to the
goes
point.
straight to it.
Yeah.
What's so fantastic about it is the very first scene of Aida, you see the priest come out with this soldier that's hoping to run the place, hoping to run the army and do all this stuff. And it's just so fantastic. It starts almost in the middle of action, in the middle of a story. You know what I mean? And then Radames comes out with this fantastic aria, like with the recitative, it's so great, and suddenly goes into this love ballad. And you're like, oh my God, where are we going with this? And then the girl swoops in and she's like,
Aida,
ooh,
right.
what are you talking about over there? And he's like, not you, I'm not talking about you. Aida comes walking in, and then you immediately see the love triangle, which is broken up by a cry of war immediately.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it is one of the most badass things, Act One, this whole first scene. I mean, it's just so exciting and so gripping. After you have this big concertato, ritorno vincitor, everybody leaves, and then she repeats these words, and it sends chills every time.
Yeah, she's
you know
left
what I
alone
mean?
with that thought, like
Yeah,
what?
and that's also what's so fantastic is, in grand opera you don't get so much description about people's inner dialogue and their real feelings, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in this, it's so descriptive. She tells you exactly how she's feeling, everything that she's been going through before the opera started even. You know what I mean? And it's absolutely fantastic. So people gravitate toward the story. They like the way the story is told. And of course, visually, I think it's just so fantastic. I mean, you just can't go wrong.
And you can't beat the music.
You really can't beat the music. I'm sorry. I mean, and the music has been used for so many things, you know what I mean? In film and commercials and stuff like that. It's so epic and fantastic. And of course, story-wise, like I said, star-crossed lovers, you can't go wrong. Everybody wants to see that kind of story. And also a war story, because unfortunately, war is timeless
Yeah.
because it continues to happen. It's happening as we speak.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So everyone can relate to that. So even though this is a story that takes place who knows when, and you
where.
feel like you
Yeah.
know, you can't really relate to the characters for their time, but you can relate to the situations in a way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You can accept that situation of war because we have all seen it.
Yeah.
We've all lived in it at this point. You know what I mean? So I think that's attractive for an audience member to see something like that played out, something you can touch, something you can relate to in a way.
That relating to is very important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's what keeps people coming back. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely what keeps me coming back to this opera specifically, Aida. I mean, it's hard to sing. You know what I mean? It's tough, you know, but at the same time, it's so fulfilling for those very reasons because it's all encompassing.
Yep.
You know?
It's a great thing about opera. It encompasses everything.
Oh gosh, it really
Literature,
does.
dance, music, all of it. All of it. Yeah.